Welcome to day 3 of the 2024 World Wheelchair Rugby Paralympic Qualifying Tournament here at the NZCIS, the New Zealand Campus of Innovation and Sport just outside Wellington. It is day 3, it's the third and final day of the group games. We already have 3 of the semi-finalists locked in. Germany, Australia and Canada have made it all the way through. Unfortunately, not the hosts, New Zealand. They lost their first 2 group games to Brazil and the Netherlands. And those 2 countries, the Brazilians and the Dutch, are going to be fighting it out later on today in a virtual quarter-final to see who makes it through into that 4th and final semi-final slot. For New Zealand, they've got to regroup. They're going to play Canada in their final group match, and then after that they're going to be looking towards the placement matches to see whether they can finish as high as 5th, get a bit of pride back and hopefully get some all-important ranking points. But first and foremost, the first match of the day is going to see Switzerland take on Colombia. And here we are in these wonderful facilities at the New Zealand Campus of Innovation and Sport just outside Wellington. It was only inaugurated around 6 months ago, brand spanking new, and it's absolutely wonderful to be here. Here are the day's matches. Colombia versus Switzerland to see who finishes 3rd and 4th in Group A, and then that huge showdown between Brazil and the Netherlands. The winner of that goes through to the semi-finals and still is in with a shot for making it to the Paralympics. New Zealand versus Canada. New Zealand really need to kickstart this campaign that has been terrible for them thus far. They really have struggled. And then after that, Australia versus Germany. I'm Drew Lilly. Alongside me, I have Amanda Lowry. Colombia with, well, you just look at the team sheet and see there are only 7 names there in the squad. They're going to struggle today, you would have thought.
Yeah, but they're looking pretty tidy on court, and with their strong 3.5, like, it's got a great pass, so I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on Switzerland, and maybe they won't expect it.
That strong 3.5, you could see him there, John Orozco, the man who scored the most tries at the Parapan tournament, where Colombia finished 4th, losing to Brazil in the 3rd and 4th place match. Switzerland with a lot more strength in depth. But the big thing, you were talking about the 3.5 for Colombia. Switzerland can only run a balanced lineup.
Yeah, because these guys are missing their big hard hitter, so they've only got, 2.5s is their highest functionality on court, so they're going to be running a balanced lineup. But what that means is a lot of hands, so potentially they could, if they could just keep it out of the hands of the powerhouse of Brazil, then it could go well.
It's going to be a tough one. Yes, it's going to be a tough one. 10th versus 12th in the world. So 10th Colombia, 12th Switzerland. And there are ranking points up for grabs. So even though neither of these teams can make it through to the semi-finals, they will be looking to get a win. Maybe Switzerland looking to overtake Colombia in the rankings. What amazes me about John Orozco is that he plays without gloves.
I know.
How crazy is that?
The man's a powerhouse. Those hands. Oh.
So everything you would have thought is going to go through Orozco.
He won't be off court.
He won't. You can expect him to play 32 of the 32 minutes. 32 minutes, 4 quarters. 4 quarters of 8 minutes each. Switzerland's starting lineup is going to be Roger Frey, Jeremy Genal, Yves Langhart and Armin Dautai. So the 2 2.5 pointers, Genal and Dautai, Frey a 2-pointer and Langhart a 1-pointer. And there is the starting lineup for Colombia. John Orozco, 3.5-pointer, Carlos Neme, Uriel Rodriguez and Julian Vargas. So slightly high-low for them, as high-low as they can possibly go. John Orozco looking to win the first tip, and that is exactly what he does.
Still trying to get that pass across. A lot of pressure.
It's looking as if we might have had an immediate turnover, but great wheels there from Neme for a 1-pointer. You have to get the ball over the halfway line within 12 seconds, and it looked as if Colombia were going to be penalised first up. Christian Hempfling of Germany is the referee that you can see in the background. And so, tit for tat, it's 1 apiece with Armen Dautai scoring there for Switzerland.
And there's a turnover.
Lucky, so the ball comes loose from Orozco, but you could see the other referee that we have on court today, Kim Yun-ho of Korea, and he pointed in the direction in which Colombia are attacking, saying that they are the ones who get that loose ball. The ball went out of play, but it came off either a Swiss player or a Swiss chair. Fired forward there, and going over the line backwards was Uriel Rodriguez. You don't get more points for crossing the line backwards.
Unfortunately.
No, that would be good, wouldn't it?
It would.
1.5 or 2 points for a backwards try. Well, there's obviously a lot of World Wheelchair Rugby officials here. We can suggest that to them a bit later on. Just to spice things up a bit, particularly when it's a group match and you think, well, neither of these teams can make it through to the semis. But as we were saying earlier, ranking points at stake. Colombia 10th in the world, Switzerland 12th. Brazil in between them. And Brazil have been one of the standouts of this tournament. Unfortunately, shocking New Zealand. Now that ball is going to go loose, and it clearly came off Carlos Neme. So that is a turnover, and Switzerland get the first break of service, as it were. They get the first opportunity to score on what was one of their opponent's possessions. Chanel gets it over the halfway line, and it's a big hit there on Dautai. Spins around. They've got the ball over the halfway line. You have to bounce it every 10, which is what Dautai has just done. There's going to have to be another bounce quite soon. And then they have 40 seconds in which to score.
And they're counting down the shot clock. Big pass. Beautiful.
How good was that? It was really on the limit. You can see that, well, it's gone back to 40, the shot clock there that you can see in the middle of your screen towards the left now. But it was down to 2 seconds, and a huge pass from Dautai. It had to be absolutely perfect, and it was. Of course, the easiest way, you risk losing possession with passes, so the easiest way is if you can just keep it in the possession of one person, and that's what Colombia are going to try to do with their number 4, John Orozco.
And they're going to have difficulty getting over half. No, they've made it. Good.
Dautai just quick enough to get it over the line. Neme, the one pointer, is incredibly quick for someone who is a low pointer.
Absolutely. Nice long pass.
And then good movement up the court by Julian Vargas.
And you can see the whole time that those high pointers are creating screens and blocking threats to make it possible to get across without having to pass.
Dautai off to Frey. We can see 3 on the bench there for Colombia. That is all they've got. You can have substitutions at any time, providing there's a dead ball. You can't do it while play is going on. And you can bring players off and on as often as you like. And you're allowed a squad of 12, but Colombia have come here with just 7 players. They had some visa issues, and obviously it's the other side of the world for them to come as well. It's a huge journey. And we're in a sport where it's not highly paid professional athletes whose job it is just to jet off around the world and go and represent their country.
Exactly, and many of these athletes, particularly low pointers, need care So there's an idea that when you're an athlete, you're autonomous and functional and motivated, and while you might be functional and motivated, you're not autonomous, you need help. So bringing a care team with you, especially from the other side of the world, is a massive cost. So that isn't seen when you see this dynamic sport. You don't see the level of support that goes on in the background.
Yes, you still see the squad of 7 for Colombia, 12 for a lot of other teams. Then you're looking at coaches, assistant coaches, medical staff, mechanics, obviously, because you need... We'll see some equipment changes at some point very soon, and they're amazing equipment changes as that ball is fired forward by Dautai to Genal, and the Swiss just keep their noses in front. But very quick equipment changes where a wheel is changed in the space of 10 or 15 seconds.
And you're looking at $1,000 per wheel.
It is, yes. The tyres are a lot cheaper, but it takes a long time to replace a tyre, so wheels are taken on and off. So when a tyre bursts, you replace the wheel, and then there's a mechanic in the background desperately trying to repair or pump up the tyre and then put it back on the rims, which is what takes so long. So there is, it's like there's a swan or a duck that looks beautiful swimming along, and then underneath the water that you can't see, paddling away furiously. The things that you can't see behind this tournament while we're watching the bashing and crashing and the skills of these players. There are, for every player out on court, there are 5 or 6 that we don't see who are doing work in the background.
Absolutely. Look at that, nice work by that low pointer.
Popped over the top, but blocked there by Orozco. You can see the shot clock is down to 15 if you look to the left. It's getting a bit loose from Switzerland. Desperation stuff. Now, did he call the timeout as he was going down? Genal, I don't think he had time to do that.
Which is a shame. If you can call timeout while you're falling forward, then you just get an opportunity to reset and you don't lose the ball. Otherwise, it's a turnover.
So that, to me, looks like it is going to be a turnover. Obviously, it's easier said than done to call a timeout while you are crashing to the ground, trying to keep hold of the ball, and you've got a split second in which to think, call the timeout, reset the shot clock to 15 and keep possession. And we'll see there was no mention of a timeout. It's obviously difficult to do the timeout symbol with your hands. Switzerland, though, have got the ball back. We're talking of timeouts. You can see the scores say 7-8 to Switzerland and then 4-2. Apologies to those of you who watch wheelchair rugby day in, day out, and have been watching for years, perhaps decades, and playing it yourself. But for those watching for the first time, maybe, 4 and 2 are the timeouts. 4 of them are the floor timeouts, 30-second ones that players can take at any time and are used when you're falling and want to stop play, or if you want to reset the shot clock because you don't think you can get the ball over the halfway line within the first 12 seconds, which is what Switzerland are trying to do now.
Nice intercept there.
And there, desperation stuff from Frey to get it over the halfway line within 12 seconds. And great work from all 4 of them, passing through all 4 sets of hands. Or if you don't think you can score before the shot clock expires, or if you're getting to the end of a quarter and want to run down the clock, you can take a 30-second shot floor timeout. And then the 2 underneath that, those are the coaches' timeouts, which last for a minute and can only be taken with a dead ball. But here we have a penalty.
For a reach, I think. Number 9 in the sin bin.
Kristin Hempfling showing there the side of her hand onto an arm, saying that illegal contact was made by Jeremy Genal. So he is going to sit in the box for either a minute or until Colombia score. Colombia 4 on 3, and they're going to cruise through here. So Orozco over the line, and out comes Genal.
So at that point, the low point players were blocking him, therefore he had to call that he was going to inbound the ball in order to be free.
Frey gets bogged down, and that's an incredible pass from Frey to Genal. Genal back to Frey. Orozco for company. Orozco trying to knock him from the side into the cone. If you knock into the cone before one of your wheels has gone over the line, then it's no try.
Beautiful work for those screens there by Colombia.
Yes, all eyes tend to be on Orozco, but you had Neme and Rodriguez screening a number of the Swiss people to make sure that Orozco had a clear passage. Genal over the halfway line. The two teams trading tries at the moment. Colombia won the first tip-off and had the first possession, but there was a turnover after that. And then there won't be a tip-off at the start of the second, third and fourth quarters. It is merely taking it in turns, and that has gone the way of the Swiss. So a dropped ball there by Carlos Neme, and it bounced off his chair and went out of play. So the Swiss have the chance to get the biggest lead of the contest so far. They've only ever been 1 point ahead. They're going to look to make it 2.
Trying to push him out of court there.
Langhart, the 1 pointer, hands it off to Frey. Langhart knew he wouldn't have the wheels, the mobility to get over. And we've seen another reaching foul
by number 9
given.
Amaya.
It looks like Christian Amaya is the one going into the bin. Amaya, who has come on for Vargas, and immediately goes off, so it's 4-on-3 for Switzerland. Switzerland sticking with their starting lineup. Big opportunity here for the Swiss to make it a 2-point lead. And then after that, as you can see on the match clock, 1 minute 34 left in this first quarter. So it's going to be important for both teams to try to score the last point. If you can score and then not leave your opponents time to reply, then you've got an extra point compared with them, and there's another turnover. This is where we might see a timeout being used unless Genal can get this over the halfway line safely, and he's going to do it. The safest way of doing it is by keeping it yourself rather than throwing out passes, and that's brilliant from Genal, and you wonder why he hasn't gone over and scored. His teammates are telling him exactly how long is left, and they're counting him down to around 55 seconds. For most teams, 55 seconds is the magic mark to score, because possessions can be up to 40 seconds, and that means that even if Colombia take all 40 seconds here, which they're unlikely to do, then Switzerland would still have 15 seconds left. So to counteract that, Colombia scored as quickly as possible. So now there's a lot of mathematics going on, but a 40-second possession now for Switzerland would still leave Colombia with 5 seconds in which to try to score. So the mathematics and the calculations come in at this time of the match.
Trying to keep them, they had to call time, they weren't going to make it in 12.
So a clever use of the timeout there. The Swiss weren't going to get the ball over the line within the allotted 12 seconds, so they take a 30-second timeout, which Christian Hempfling has signalled. It means that the players can all regroup. The Colombians talking amongst themselves, the Swiss rolling over and having a quick word with Adi Moser, who is the one with the beanie on their player coach. So
it was great to see him back on the pitch yesterday.
Indeed, yes, actually taking off the beanie, the scarf, the shell suit jacket, the sweater, the hot water bottle.
Pretending that Switzerland isn't colder than New Zealand.
It's a well heated country, I think, and we're out in the open here at the NZCIS, and there's a giveaway.
22 seconds.
This is ideal for Colombia. Now, if they can run down the clock and then score, they will reduce the deficit to just 1 point, where Switzerland were looking to extend it to 3. Switzerland taking a timeout. And you don't mind taking timeouts as long as you maintain possession and score.
Oh, no, over and back.
So what happened there, Amanda?
It looked like his wheels were pushed over and then he came back into the court again. So it's a Swiss inbound. So that incredible grab and steal has just been wasted.
So there we go. Drama at the end of the first quarter, and it's Switzerland who lead 13 points to 11. Here we are back again, and that was a breathtaking end to the first quarter there. Orozco going over the line, but only with one wheel, and then being dragged back, and meant that he didn't score the try. And there he is, boxed in already. And it's the Swiss who have the first possession. It was their turn for possession, so possession alternates much along the lines of basketball. Possession alternates at the start of quarters, or if there is a held ball. So you can see the possession arrow on the table to the right of your screen there, the WWR table. It's pointing now in the direction that Colombia are attacking, because they will get the next possession now, either at the start of the third quarter or if there is a held ball. Colombia have made a few changes. Paula Martinez has come on, a two-pointer. And she's a two-pointer, but she gives their team an advantage.
Which is great, because when women play, they play 0.5 over. So even though she's a two-pointer, she's on the court as a 1.5. So basically that just takes consideration of the extra kind of muscle strength and testosterone. But it's a fully inclusive game. It was never designed to be separated. So it's just a fabulous opportunity for inclusion, really.
The wonderful thing about wheelchair rugby, as we see Armen Dautai getting it up to a 3-point game, is that it's called wheelchair rugby, but that was purely so that the Paralympic Committee would allow this sport to play, because they couldn't give out medals for murder ball, or as you like to call it,
violent chess.
Violent chess, there we go. Yes, so you can't give out medals for violent chess, even though I think we should. So this sport is a sport that was created, and it was created for people who play in wheelchairs. It's not a version of a sport that was then adapted so that people could play it in wheelchairs. It's a wheelchair sport, and always has been, always will be.
Yeah.
So it's got its own rules, as opposed to being reduced, a reduced version or a changed version of an able-bodied sport.
Absolutely. Designed around the functionality of the players that play the sport. So, 1977, it was kind of was its infancy, and first came into Paralympics in Sydney 2000, and it's just been growing since then. And you look at the power and the strength of all those teams. Everyone's just getting so much better.
So the people who designed the sport designed it themselves, and it was designed as a sport where men and women play together. Simple as that. So it's always been a mixed sport.
Absolutely.
And the reason why we have a lot of sporting analogies saying this is like basketball, this is like chess, this is like a lot of other sports. This is like NFL gridiron, as we see another timeout taken there by Chenal. So the 3-2 on the Swiss scoreboard is going to go down to 2-2. There it is. That's their second timeout taken. Rules were taken from, inspired by all sorts of other sports. We'll do this one. So the over and back is like a backcourt violation. If you've taken the ball into the front of the court, the attacking half of the court, then you can't take it back into your defending part of the court. Works in basketball. Let's take it for our sport.
Absolutely.
And works brilliantly that way. And it means that people watching it for the first time will see familiarities with other sports, as Jonathan Vargas, the coach for Colombia, I think saying that Jeremy Chenal had gone out of bounds, but Chenal pops that one over to Dautai, and once again we are back to a 3-point lead for the Swiss. Excellent passing, excellent hands there by Dautai. And
the chairs are hooked up on each other, so the player gets to call equipment, but the ball ends up back in their hands again for the throw-in.
Roscoe just manages to keep hold of that one, and he needs to, well, remain in play while he has the ball. And a huge pass forward by Vargas. Rodriguez knows that she won't be able to wriggle away out of that one, and that one is an over and back.
Yep.
Just what we were talking about 1 minute ago. So the ball was in the attacking half of the court as far as Colombia were concerned, and they sent it back into their defensive half, which you can't do, and that means it's a turnover. And Switzerland are beginning to edge clear in this match. Switzerland 12th in the world, Colombia 10th, but the Swiss showing a lot of discipline.
Absolutely, and every time there's a turnover is an opportunity for a goal, so you just have to be so careful and so accurate. And that's what the Swiss are doing in this game.
Changes for Switzerland. Anton Michukov, the number 10, has come on, having replaced Roger Frey. I'm calling him Roger Frey, but he's a youngster. And obviously Switzerland has German-speaking, French-speaking, Italian-speaking parts, and Roger always used to be Roger, and then a certain Roger Federer came along and said that his name was Roger, and his mother was South African, so he went as Roger as opposed to Roger, and then all of a sudden Swiss people called Roger decided that their name was Roger instead. So it could well be Roger Frey, could well be a Roger Frey.
Beautiful.
Nice little bounce pass there from Yves Langhart. Colombia now find themselves 4 points adrift, while Jeremy Chenal has a quick wheel change.
It's going to be tough to kind of roll that around when you don't have a large rotation of players, and then your high pointer might be feeling a bit of fatigue, but it's just it's on him.
Another M that you could see from referee Kim Yun-ho. Looks like the M of YMCA, and I presume the M stands for mechanic.
Possibly.
Every player I ask, they look at me and go, oh, suppose so, yes.
There you go.
But it does look like an M. They point to the, they lean over their shoulders and point into the neck, and it looks like the M of YMCA.
I think you've done a little bit much dancing in the 80s.
It's probably that, yes. So M for Martinez is the one who inbounds there. to Orozco. And where are the Swiss? The answer is they are setting up in front of the key.
And when you're defending, you're only allowed 3 of your 4 players in the key.
It's in the painted area there that you can see. That Michukov has just put a wheel in. Dautai gets that one. They need to get the ball over the halfway line. And he's looking for Genal, and it ends up being Michukov who takes it. A few bounce passes we've seen today from the Swiss, and they're working well. And one of the Colombian players had left the court. I think it was Neme.
Three players on him.
3 players on Orozco, and that means that Vargas is free to cruise over.
And the Swiss will be just keeping that pressure on him, keeping him away from the ball.
If there's only the 1 3-pointer, then you can do that, but we saw that New Zealand were trying to do it against Brazil's 2 3-pointers. They have Braz and Feitosa. And if Braz don't get you, then Feitosa will, seem to be the case yesterday for New Zealand.
They just had so much pace on them, and then we don't have a 3.5 in the New Zealand team. So it was just hard for them to keep up with that level of intensity.
Martinez picks up the ball, and then a nice little handoff to Vargas.
A key point of strategy when you're a low pointer is just to turn away from the threats, keep the ball covered until help comes, where you can bounce it off or throw it off, but you need help to come to you for that throw. You can't just generally pop it over someone's head, because there's a risk and there'll be a turnover.
Into the last 3 minutes of this first half. Dautai again pops it over to Genal. European teams like to attack the key. They like to get a lot of people forward into the key, and you've seen that's the way Switzerland are doing it today, popping. Even if the key is packed, they know that they can put in a very accurate pass. Seen Genal, Dautai picking up the passes.
Here in New Zealand, we call that play the European, where you sit in there, you wait for the pass over the top. It's the European.
And what's the signature move for the Bay of Plenty steamrollers then that you play for?
Just to try not to lose, really.
Turning up on time,
Turning
making
up
sure
on
you've got
time.
enough players.
Yep, we give it our best. We're just a team with lots of low pointers and no mid ranges, and feel very grateful. There's a low point program these days too, and low point nationals and internationals.
Yes, there's been low point World Cups.
And that's great, you know, giving 1.5 as your highest level of function, and it's a slower game, and it's a strategic game, and it's stunning. It just makes it easier for those watching to learn how to play wheelchair rugby, because there's less pace.
Doing the European thing again, the Swiss.
Look at that, nice Hail Mary over the top.
Vargas picks it up.
Lots of pressure.
And goes this way and that to avoid Dautai. Yes, there's been a low point World Cup. There's also been women's tournaments and women's Euros, and we were saying before that it's always been a mixed sport, but having low point tournaments and women's tournaments just means that there's more tournaments to play in, more rugby to play.
More opportunities to play. When I started playing here in New Zealand, there was only 2 women, but over the time there's at least 10 of us now. So it's just opening up opportunities. I think it's making other wahine, other women know that it's actually a really inclusive sport, and they should just come and give it a nudge.
Another equipment timeout. Equipment timeouts are always very short.
Two low pointers with the ball here.
Neme to Martinez, and she manages to get the ball free very well. Gets it to Orozco. Orozco very much the get out of jail free card as far as Colombia are concerned, and you can hear them counting down.
Scoring on that 55.
It's the mathematics that we were talking about earlier. If you score with 55 seconds to go, you know you're guaranteed at least one more possession.
Turnover, beautiful.
Well, as we saw at the end of the first quarter, it's starting to get a little bit loose, or the intensity is, let's put it another way, the intensity is ramping up. A minute or so to go, turnovers. So we saw Dautai throwing out a long pass that was picked off by Orozco. Orozco there losing the ball, and it originally looked as if, indeed, I thought Colombia had maintained possession there. They have indeed. It's a corner inbound, that's a tough one. It was a dead ball, so it meant that Coach Vargas could make a change. So Martinez has gone off. Rodriguez has come on. And they're going to set up and take all 25 seconds if they can. Make sure they score last, and all of a sudden it's only a 2-point game.
7 seconds on the they've just called time. Yep.
So calling time now means that the shot clock goes back up to 15 seconds. You can see the game clock is 14.8 seconds. So Colombia have the 14.8 seconds left. Doesn't go up to 15. You can't add time onto the game clock. You can add time onto the shot clock. So they now have 14.8 seconds in which to get the last score of the half, reduce the deficit to 2, and they will have the possession arrow at the start of the third quarter. Can they score, though? That's the main thing. You'll hear them counting down in Spanish. Can Orozco get over? He certainly can.
Beautiful.
The deficit is down to 2. Switzerland have 3.5 seconds. So clock starts once the inbound is touched now, and they're just going to keep that in their laps, make sure there isn't a turnover. This is the kind of match we are hoping for between 10th and 12th in the world. It's Colombia 23, Switzerland 25 at the big break. We are back at the New Zealand campus of innovation and sport. It's the final day of group matches at the 2024 World Wheelchair Rugby Paralympic Qualification Tournament. These teams are not going to make it through to the Paralympics. They can't get through to the semi-finals, but they are playing for ranking points and they're playing for pride, and they're playing one heck of a match, the two of them. Ranked 10th in the world, Colombia 23, Switzerland 12th in the world, 25. So the Swiss with a 2-point advantage at the moment.
And we've had a player being tipped on the far side there.
A mere 9 seconds in, and already quick stoppage in play. Uriel Rodriguez having to be flipped back up. Neme with the inbound, and it's Colombia who got the last point of the second quarter, and they're looking to get the first point of the third quarter because the possession arrow was in their favour, and that will make it a 1-point contest if they can get over, and they can. Good pass there from Orozco to Vargas. Amanda Lowry alongside me, we were discussing during the break who we thought was going to win this one, and we thought, well, it's whoever can commit the fewer errors.
That's pretty much it. And both teams are quite evenly matched with skills, but it's an errors game, and climbing up like 3 points is tough.
Switzerland with a slight advantage on the scoreboard. Obviously, you can see there 26-24. So Colombia need to get themselves a turnover as soon as possible. Even if they do get a turnover on this possession, that would make it 25-26. You're chasing the game, and it can be tiring. Even if you do get yourself level, you then need to maintain that standard and then carry on and try to get into a lead. It's not just getting over the deficit.
No.
Orozco takes it up over the halfway line, taking matters into his own hands, and over he goes coast to coast.
And the Colombian players trying to take out that high pointer. There's a scrabble for the ball, and there's a turnover.
Orozco's come away with it, and there is the turnover, and all of a sudden, we're dead level. How about that? Within the first minute of this second half, the Swiss, we're talking about minimizing the errors. Swiss precision and efficiency, using the old cliches. They've turned the ball over once. Colombia have leveled the score.
Is number 4, is he being sin-binned or no?
It looks like it. It looks as if Kristen Hempfling is going to send John Orozco. Yeah, definitely hit him from behind, didn't he? There. So Orozco in the sin bin. Rather lucky there from Switzerland's point of view. Orozco was trying to push Genal out of bounds, and he ended up flipping him over, which you're not allowed to do. And so Switzerland are going to make the most of this. Roger Frey has come back on for them. Number 25 there is Samuel Schwarz. So they're running a different lineup, the Swiss. They can afford to do that. They've got plenty on the bench, whereas, as we saw earlier, Colombia just got the 3 fit players available for them. So there's not going to be a whole lot of rotation. Colombia, though, who have got things back more or less. They're a point behind and in possession. So they've done the hard work and done it early in this second half. Orozco needs to get it over the halfway line.
Not over in 12.
Failed to do so. The ball wasn't over. And you can see Jonathan Vargas, who got up there and was saying you should have taken a time out. Colombia with 3 timeouts left.
At this stage, you just can't risk those kind of mistakes.
Schwartz with the inbound. Chanel going this way and that. Tries to barge his way in. Various players in the key, and one of them is Michukov. Vargas hemmed in. Needs to release the ball, needs to get it over the halfway line again. Does so. Just about picked up there and knocked out of play. Not quite knocked out of play before the timeout signal.
That was a very fast call.
It was bang bang, was Neme over the line before the timeout signal was called? No, he wasn't. So you can see Colombia have gone down to 2 timeouts. They've learnt their lesson from the last play when Orozco failed to get the ball over the halfway line within the allotted 12 seconds. And that's it. If you take a timeout and convert it into a point, you think you've done the right thing. You've used it wisely.
Absolutely. Seems to be a bit more intensity on the court at the moment.
27 plays 28. 10th versus 12th in the world. A tight contest is exactly the kind of rugby that you like to see. Amanda, are you one of those players that takes timeouts left, right and centre, or are you a bit reticent?
No, I'm a bit...
You're quite outspoken. I thought you'd been quite...
I'm a bit reticent. I'll take them when I have to.
It's not like in cricket you get certain players who review absolutely everything, even though it's plumb LBW or out, and you think you've just burnt one of the reviews for the team. You're a bit reticent. You don't want to burn your team's timeouts.
No, we need them. We'll use them and we'll need them, and we'll make points off them if we can.
It's the main thing. If you take a timeout, make a point from it.
Big long pass.
It was a huge pass, and Frey it is who goes over. Roscoe with the give and go. Neme making great progress.
That's an incredible pace for a one-pointer.
Really is, isn't it?
Seriously, and beautiful use of a screen.
Michukov
up on one wheel.
Frey has to make sure he stays within bounds.
That was close.
And Genal just in control of the ball before his wheels went over the try line. 2-point game for Switzerland, 2-point lead. Orozco bouncing the ball, as you have to do every 10 seconds.
Roscoe working hard to keep the ball out of number 9's hands and stop them from getting over half and 12.
Chanel back to Schwartz. Schwartz with limited options. Frey
and the turnover
puts it straight into the lap of Orozco, and once again we're level. What we haven't had so far in this match is a lead for Colombia. I think if they can take the lead, that would be huge. Switzerland looking a bit nervous here and there. Frey just managing to get over the line before touching the cone.
So it's those front 2 casters that have to get over. Doesn't matter if the back wheels hit secondary.
And then Orozco just scoots down the other end. Now, the winner of this match will finish 3rd in Group A and play the team that finishes 4th in Group B in the first lot of playoff matches. And then the winner of that gets to play off for 5th and 6th. And so the winner of this match will play New Zealand. So the All Blacks will be watching on to see who their next opponents will be and how to play against them.
And straight away you'll see teams, the minute the goal, the try's about to be scored, they're already transitioning into that defensive play, trying to keep the threats out of the way and make it difficult for the other team to get across half. It's just so fast.
Yes, we mentioned a lot of similarities with basketball. That is very much the case. As soon as you score, you have to get straight back on defence.
Transition is the key, really. Well, turnover.
Another lost ball, and Schwartz unable to pick that one up. So Colombia now with 40 seconds in which to score. And the safest thing for them to do is give it to Orozco. And for the first time in this contest, the South Americans take the lead. Almost 21 minutes into this 32-minute contest, and they have finally taken the lead. How long can they hold on to it for? That was close from Genal, and we're going to have a break in play, which I don't think is any bad thing as far as the Swiss are concerned.
But it was a reach, because when he fell, he held on to number 9's chair.
And we'll see that in slow motion here. Illegal contact, so now that Vargas is back up, he will be dispatched to the sidelines.
Not exactly perfect timing if you're trying to maintain a lead.
It's good for the Swiss because the part of the court that they're attacking is where their bench is, so I'm sure Adi Moser will have had a few words of wisdom to impart to his teammates there. 4-on-3, and they're still making hard work of it at 4-on-3. 4-on-3, or another way of looking at it, is 8-on-6, because 2 points are in the sin bin at the moment. And they blocked Vargas from coming out, and he's stuck. They put a trap on him.
And he's chosen not to inbound, so
yes, you can't see Vargas at the moment. He's stuck just outside the sin bin. So it's pretty much a 3-on-3 at the moment, and a 3-on-3 you'd back Orozco, you'd back the team with a high pointer, and that is exactly what's happened. Orozco with the outlet, the pass to Neme. Chanel's just picking that one up, but he's not going to have the wheels to get past Orozco.
There's equipment on number 3 there. Heard his tyre pop as the low pointer hit him. So those chairs with the pick bars out the front, they do massive damage to the high point chairs.
On goes the wheel, and that's good for Switzerland in that they were struggling. Genal had been trapped by Orozco, so they now have around 20 seconds in which to try to break through the key defense of the Colombians. That you can just see to the right of your screen, they're all setting up in front of the key. Ball lost and regained. You can't spend more than 10 seconds in the key. And is that the case, I think, of Michikov? No, well, the ball is going to be inbounded.
They managed to call a time, I think.
Well, a timeout has been called by Switzerland with Michikov stuck in the key. There was no way he could get out. If you go over the try line without the ball, then that's a penalty. So they called a timeout because he was stuck inside the key. So Switzerland have used their last timeout. 15 seconds on the shot clock for them to score. And this is a huge play here. Switzerland really need to score this one. They've taken their final timeout. Chenal creeps in round the side. That was some good European attacking there. And it's back to 35 all. Switzerland have made the best use of their timeout. It's 35 apiece, but Colombia have possession and they have 2 timeouts left. I would say advantage Colombia at the moment as we go into the last 2 minutes of the third quarter. But it's going to be absolutely huge who scores last. Switzerland will have possession at the start of the fourth quarter. This game is on a knife edge. Frey. Has he got the wheels to outpace? He got Neme, that he was always going to be quicker than. Orozco, who was quicker than him, coming up behind him. Who is going to get the last score of this quarter? Attempted reach in there by Michukov.
Nice long pass down to number 10.
Rodriguez taking his time. Teams have lots of different timestamps. We know that it's good to score on 55 or 105, and then you can add on certain time periods to that. You'll have the big teams.
And lost ball.
Of course, timestamps don't mean anything if you lose the ball. Now, Orozco got his hand to that when it came loose, and it went out off him. So the Swiss get another bite of the cherry. Switzerland, though, have been living on the edge in this half. Frey gets it over the top, and that is a loose pass, and it's gone into the lap of Vargas. Colombia with a turnover. If they can get a 2-point lead, no, it's gone the other way. So one turnover produces another. Chenal will come over and score on 55 seconds. And how on earth have the Swiss managed to do that?
Wow.
That wasn't in any playbook.
It's exciting.
It is thrilling stuff. 2 turnovers on the one play. Momentum swinging this way and that. Orozco doing the Hayden Barton Coots, saying, I've got a bigger span than anyone else. Is that a reaching foul there? Or was it a timeout called?
Looks like a time.
Reaching foul wouldn't be what you want to do in the last minute or so. I've had the privilege of commentating alongside Chris Ryan, who was captain of Great Britain when they won the Paralympics. They are the reigning Paralympic champions, and Chris was captain, and then he's retired since, and he's going on to play table tennis at the highest level. So wish him all the best of luck with that. But he was telling me that they were told that the last 90 seconds or so, it was hands in pockets. You do not give away a reaching foul when you're getting down to the last 90 seconds or 60 seconds of a quarter.
And so if we end up with a tie here, it will roll into a 3-minute overtime. Depends on who can keep their cool, really.
Exactly. Well, we're a little way away from that. We have 43.4 seconds left in the third quarter, but this is the first time that we have been talking about the possibility of a tie in a match, and those are always thrilling. So the Colombians setting themselves up. They took a timeout. They may well take another one. They're going to...
They've got 10 seconds to score.
Well, they're going to get down to 15 on the game clock and then reset by taking another timeout. 15.5. So that means that the shot clock and the game clock are more or less the same. They've burnt a timeout to do it. That way they've got 15 seconds in which to score and get the last score of the quarter. And we've been talking about these mathematics, all the timestamps, and this is where it really comes into practice. Orozco trying to find his way in, 6 seconds to go. He's going to get over, and he does so, and he leaves the Swiss with 1.8 seconds. And this is going to be a case of put the ball in your lap, don't lose it. So we are going to go into the final quarter with Colombia with the tightest of leads, 38-37 over Switzerland. We're back for the final quarter of this absolute thriller between Colombia, 10th in the world, Switzerland, 12th in the world. And there is almost nothing to choose between them. 38-37, Colombia lead. It's the Swiss with the inbound and the possession. So if they score off this possession, they will make it a tie game.
And you see what they're doing there? They're using the line as a holding a player in. It's beautiful.
Well, the baseline and the sideline count as an extra defender, really, because if you can get one of your opponents out over the sideline, then it's a turnover. And when it's only 4 players on court at any one time, then you get all the advantages you possibly can. And one of the advantages that Colombia have is that man there, John Orozco. I think Colombia are going to live and die by how well Orozco plays in the final 8 minutes. We were saying at the start of the match he's likely to play all 32 minutes. Well, he's played 24 and a half so far. See changes there, and they've brought on Paulo Martinez, playing alongside Julian Vargas and Neme. Swiss going with Armin Dautai back on. And
12 seconds, not over.
Turnover. Dautai did not get the ball over the halfway line within the allotted 12 seconds, and they have no timeouts left. Neither team has a timeout. So this is just going to be the two teams going at it, hammer and tongs. They've got no timeouts other than the coaches' timeouts, which can't be used tactically, only on a dead ball. So these teams are just going to have to go at it, and whoever has, well, I was about to say whoever has more points at the end of it will win, which is a great sporting cliche,
well,
but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Colombia with the biggest lead that they have had in this contest.
It's putting a heap of pressure on Switzerland.
Swarming defence, not letting them get out. Dautai picks that one up, and they're trying to push him over the line.
Yep, and they managed it, and it's a turnover.
No timeouts, of course, so he couldn't call a timeout. He knew he was going to be barged from behind. Got rid of the ball, but a thou too late, and all of a sudden, Colombia with the opportunity to have the biggest lead of the contest, and they do, 41-38. Things have really turned around. It was 33 all. Colombia got their first lead, and here they are now looking to ice the contest.
Again, another turnover.
Things getting very loose from the Swiss. Coach Jonathan Vargas for Colombia is going to be delighted with this, as his brother Julian goes over and makes it a 4-point game.
It's going to be tricky for the Swiss.
Coach's timeout called by Switzerland because this has been an awful start for them. It was 38-37 a minute and a half ago when we got the fourth quarter underway, and they had possession to tie things up, and since then it's gone all the way of the Colombians. So much so that their coach there just wandering away and thinking, I've done this, my job is done, I don't need to tell them anything, they know what they've got to do. Adi Moser, on the other hand, with his beanie on there, well, what could he possibly have told his charges there? I suppose the one thing you can tell them is, we've just let them get 4 points in a row, so it is possible to get 4 points in a row. It's just up to us to do it now. Now, play will continue as long as the ball carrier is aiming towards the try line, and that was the case. So Switzerland score, and now a mechanic will come back and get Orozco back on two wheels.
And that's always a fault for newbies when you're first learning. You sort of get a bit excited and turn around to look at the player that's been flipped, and then it's a turnover. You have to hand over the ball. Beautiful use of screens.
Vargas managing to weave this way and that. Over goes Orozco, and it's back to 4 points. 6 minutes left. Switzerland forced into a lot of desperation passes. Is Dautai going to get on the end of this? Yes, he is. Switzerland need to put a lot of pressure on the inbounds here. They're trying to keep tabs on Orozco. And there he is with the ball. Needs to get the ball over the halfway line. Couldn't take it himself. Big hit by Genal. Needs to bounce the ball every 10 seconds.
Or offload it, which he managed to do.
Offloaded it perfectly there. An offload is as good as a bounce. Get the ball to Orozco, and he will score. It's another giveaway. It's another turnover. And what a fourth quarter performance this has been from Colombia.
It's incredible. They've come out with such intensity.
The ball handed off to Orozco once again. Taking his time. Time is the enemy of Switzerland at the moment. Si, senor. Give the ball to John, and he will score. He was the top scorer at the Parapan Games, where Colombia finished 4th. They defeated Brazil in the group stages, but lost in the bronze medal match. Brazil, of course, under coach Benoit Labrec, going from strength to strength, and they have a chance to make it through to the semi-finals. And they're still in with a shot of qualifying for the Paralympics. Final coach's timeout has been called. I don't think there's a lot that the Swiss can do. Well, Paula Martinez can feel pretty proud of herself. She's come out for the 4th quarter, played the first 4 minutes of it, and look at that, they lead by 5 points.
That's stunning. I didn't see that at the beginning. You just saw such an equally matched team, it looked like. And
as soon as Switzerland were out of timeouts, then all of a sudden they were rushed, and it's been a catalogue of errors from them.
Yeah.
That's why you need to be reticent with your timeouts.
Exactly. Can maintain some composure, which I will learn from someone else.
So that was indeed a try for Roger Frey.
Big hit. He's just got the pace.
Yes, he was always going to get away from Samuel Schwarz there. Let's go back to your high school German. Schwarz means?
Black.
Exactly. There we go.
Oh, stop it.
Next up after this, it will be the team in Schwarz, the Wheel Blacks, who will be in action. They're in action at 3:30 today, taking on Canada. Reverses over the line does JJ. Jeremy Genal. Vargas. A reaching foul from Dautai. Frustration on his face. Bit of a shrug of the shoulders. You might very well say that, referee, but I don't believe that. Be that as it may, Switzerland down to 3. This is ideal. This is grist to the mill for the Colombians. They can take all 40 seconds, get a point, run some time off the clock. This is just what they want.
What does grist to the mill mean for someone not born in 1800s?
When you need it, it's like a powder that was put on milling machines to make sure that the blades worked more efficiently.
Okay, good learning.
There we go.
Good, thanks for that. And Colombia.
Down into the last 3 minutes almost, and Colombia are 5 points clear. It needs to be perfect rugby from here on in for the Swiss, and that's going to be, well, that's what they need. They need a quick score, and now they need a couple of turnovers. Schwarz picking up that huge pass from Dautai, who came straight out of the bin, said, I'll inbound, and the way to inbound is getting one all the way up the court, and that was all but a steal there. That's what the Swiss needed. They needed to pick up that loose ball. As it is, Vargas gives it to Orozco, and Colombia are going to take their time and score. They needed that turnover there, the Swiss. Genal going this way and that. Tries to get over the halfway line and ends up sending the ball over there. Dautai finishes it off. 2.5 minutes to go. They need a turnover, and they need it on this play right now.
And that's not going to happen.
Orozco with a wonderful pass, and Vargas is going to take his own sweet time. A point and another 20 seconds off the clock. Hanel is now on for Switzerland. Vargas needs an equipment change. I really do think it was the lack of timeouts that has flustered the Swiss, because it was dead level. They had their noses in front all the way through the contest. Colombia pulled level in the third and then just got ahead, but Switzerland was still had the possession arrow, so it was neck and neck. And then the fact that they had no timeouts has led to them making so many errors, and errors were just not part of the Swiss game in the first 24 minutes of this contest.
Not at all. They're looking like a different team.
They're missing one of their main mid-pointers, Dave MZ, their captain, and he's a real driving force for them, a motivator, and I'm sure he would have been able to keep them a little bit calmer and help them make some better decisions had he been out there. So we look forward to seeing him back in a Swiss jersey at some point soon.
Is he a 3.5?
No, they do not have a 3.5. They've just got mid-pointers, so Dave's another 2.0.
But you look at how well they're holding their own without that level of firepower. I mean, there's hats off to them, really.
Yes, they've never had it, so it's not as if they've lost a 3.5 and suddenly had to adapt their game.
Yeah, got it.
They've always had an embarrassment of riches of the mid-pointers, so that's the way they play. Ball fired forward to Dautai again, and he needs to score quickly. So this really is the last chance saloon for them. They need swarming defence. They need to get their hands on the ball immediately. Colombia need to get the ball over the halfway line, and that's just going to evade the attempts of Christian Amaya, who's come on for his first bit of game time in this contest. So it's a corner inbound. Switzerland have got a turnover, but they need to toss the ball forward as quickly as they possibly can. Dautai is going to try and do it himself, get the ball over the halfway line. Orozco's there. So there's one. They've got 1 point back. They need another 3 of those in the next 62 seconds, though.
No pressure.
Nervous times for Colombia here. Boxed in. No timeouts they can use. This is where you do have to try to reach in if you're the Swiss. And there we go.
Look at that.
Orozco is there.
And he'll now just take some time.
Coach Vargas has run through his lines there. Manuel Monga, the number 14, has come on. Orozco, as you say, Amanda, takes his time, and that has iced the game for Colombia. 4 points clear with 36 seconds to go. This could be the last possession of the contest. The final group game for these two teams. Third and fourth place was up for grabs, and it was in the balance right up until the start of this fourth quarter. A fourth quarter that Colombia have taken by the scruff of the neck.
They just didn't stop with their intensity.
And Colombia will be the next opponents, or the next but one opponents for New Zealand. New Zealand still have to play Canada in their final group game, coming up at 3:30 today. But tomorrow they will face Colombia to see who goes into the 5th and 6th place playoff. And New Zealand versus Colombia could be a very tough battle.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great to watch, actually.
There'll be a big crowd here for that as well on Saturday. Dautai fires one forward, but that ball is going to, oh, beautiful blocking by Orozco. And no time came off the shot clock and nobody touched it, so the ball is going to go all the way back to the other end of the court and start with a corner inbound. And it's Colombia who get that corner inbound. Amaya, he's going to give it to Orozco. You'd have thought if Orozco can get his hands on it. And he does, and he's going to, oh, he even wanted to finish with a blaze of glory. Tossed it over the top, and time has expired, and in an amazing fourth quarter turnaround, Colombia have defeated Switzerland 52-48. They've got their first win of the tournament. They finish third in Group A and will go on to face New Zealand in the start of the 5th to 8th place playoffs that will be on Saturday, and they are still looking, they can finish as high as 5th in the tournament. So too can Switzerland. It'll just be a tougher path for them. But Colombia probably pretty much looking the 5th best team at this tournament from what we've seen so far. They gave a great account of themselves, particularly in that fourth quarter.
And Roscoe's such a powerhouse. That's going to be interesting to watch how New Zealand manages him.
He was the difference today. Switzerland without a 3.5 pointer, and Colombia always had that outlet. They had the big gun, John Orozco. They also had a female player on their team in Paula Martinez. That meant they could run 8.5 points out there, but there he is, John Orozco. Top try scorer at the Parapan Games in November that saw Colombia qualify for this qualification tournament. And he can't be off being top scorer here after that performance today. So those are the matches that we have today. Colombia having defeated Switzerland 52-48. We're going to have Brazil versus the Netherlands in just over an hour's time. And that is going to be an absolute showdown. Whoever wins that goes through to the semi-finals. New Zealand playing for pride, trying to regroup as they play their Commonwealth rivals Canada, and then Australia versus Germany. Two teams that have guaranteed first two spots in Group B, so whoever wins that one will finish first and avoid playing Canada in the semi-finals. So Australia will be keen to get a win in that one and avoid Canada in the semis. Germany, if they finish, whoever loses the match between Australia and Germany will have to face the winners of the opposite group. And we've got Brazil versus Netherlands looking to make it through to the semis, where they will face the winners of Group A. So Brazil, Netherlands will likely face Australia, you would have thought. And then Canada finding themselves up against Germany. But all still up for grabs. If Germany can beat Austria, then that would Australia, that would change the seedings around. Waiting to see if we can talk to any of the players after the match. The Swiss, they speak pretty good English, but they're not going to be in a very talkative mood, I don't think, is the long and the short of it. Whereas the Colombians, they'll be delighted and happy to talk, but they all speak Spanish. And our colleague Jai Waite is waiting to see if he can grab any of them. If it's a Colombian, then it will have to be with an interpreter. And we do have an interpreter, Regina. And which player is she going to be able to bring over with her? And she has
Alberto
Uriel Rodriguez with her. So Jai Waite is going to be talking with the help of Regina, the interpreter, to Uriel Rodriguez. Here we go.
Español. Sorry, what's your name?
¿Cuál es su nombre? Julián Rodríguez. Uriel.
Uriel. Hola, Uriel. How was that game?
¿Cómo estuvo el juego?
Pues al principio estuvo un poco complicado y nos costó mucho el inicio.
At the beginning, it was a bit complicated, and they had a hard start, but then it was okay.
And mañana, Nueva Zelanda, so you know who you're playing tomorrow. How do you go against New Zealand?
Mañana tienen a Nueva Zelanda. ¿Cómo crees que les va a ir?
Pues este partido que tuvimos nos subió un poco el ánimo después de 2 derrotas y pues vamos a dar lo mejor de nosotros. Sabemos que es el local y es un equipo fuerte, entonces pues vamos a tratar de controlarlo lo más que podamos.
After this match, they have the moral a bit up because they have won. So they know that the local is tomorrow, and they know they're strong. So they are still going to give the best they can, and they're just going to put everything on the field.
Oh, good luck. Gracias.
Suerte.
That was Uriel Rodriguez of Colombia, delighted with the victory, and someone who is obviously disappointed with the defeat is Roger Frey, the 2-pointer from Switzerland, and he's going to talk to Jai Wait now.
Okay. Oh, sorry, what's your... welcome. How was the game for you?
It was a tight one. We expected them like they are with this lineup, and we in the first quarter and in the second we made our lines and our decisions so that we planned, but then it was going worse and worse.
And so the loser of the next game you'll be playing tomorrow. So Netherlands, Brazil, who do you hope to play?
Doesn't matter. I enjoy both.
All right, well, good luck, and good luck for tomorrow.
Roger Frey there, putting a brave face on things. So they ran all the lines they wanted to do, but it just got worse and worse for them. That is pretty much what happened in the fourth quarter for Switzerland. So they finish 4th in Group A, and they will face the losers of the next match, which is Brazil versus the Netherlands. The losers of the next match will not go through to the semi-finals. The winners will be 2nd in the group. So Brazil versus Netherlands, it's a huge showdown coming up there, with a place in the top 4 up for grabs, and whoever wins that one will still be in the running to make it through to the Paralympics. That match starts in 1 hour's time, Brazil versus the Netherlands, so don't miss that one.